Dear audience, today we start a series of lectures on artificial intelligence, which will be delivered by Roma Solецкий. Roma has graduated our lyceum, and now he is a student of Odessa National University, named after Ilya Mechnikov. So, you're welcome.
Thank you, Andrei. And to start, machine learning, or artificial intelligence, how people are called, is a very interesting field of science. And I first heard about it when I was like you, youngsters, 8 or 9 years old, or 9th grade. And I remember that it was very interesting for me, but at the same time I couldn't understand everything on a deeper level. Perhaps because I wasn't good at math or wasn't good at programming. So eventually, after searching and surfing only Wikipedia articles and gaining so shallow knowledge about machine learning, I just decided that I will study it more professionally on more deeper level when I will become 11th grade, when I will get more deeper knowledge in math. And today, looking at you, I understand that right now this field of science can be like a total mystery for you, how it exactly works. Probably a lot of people know about something about artificial intelligence, but not so much know about how it works. And in this series of lecture, I'll try to explain to you and to everyone else on the ground level, starting from zero, how it works and how to eventually write your artificial intelligence and to solve problems you want. Because artificial intelligence can be used for a wide range of problems, like in speech recognition, text writing, recognition of some images. It's a very, very wide field, and that's why it's so useful nowadays. So our first name of lecture will be Introduction. And the very basics of Python. First, there will be introduction part when we will talk about how lecture will be built and what types of knowledge and some mini lessons it will consist of. And basics of Python, it will be the second part of this lesson, and we will learn something about programming language Python and why it's so, because it's very easy, so I chose it to learn. And also Python has a lot of community knowledge, and it's very helpful, especially in machine learning. For example, there are a lot of already written for you libraries which you can use if you want and if you know how to use them. So to start up with introduction, how our lectures will be built. So in order to know how actually machine learning works, first of all, we need to learn about its concepts, about what types of algorithms they have to solve particular problems. For example, if you need to generate some image, you'll need some one algorithm for artificial intelligence. And if you want to write down a text generated by computer, you'll need another one. And in this lessons, first of all, I'll give you some concepts, but then we will need to prove these concepts and understand how exactly they work. So we'll need math part. Math part is very important, and at the first, second, third, and maybe fourth lecture, we will talk more about math. And also, after we will define our concepts and we will learn how to use math to prove our concepts, then we will learn programming language, or Python. Programming language we will exactly use, because after gaining knowledge about math, we will need to write down our own intelligence, and we can use this only by using computer, and computer doesn't know everything about machine learning. It can't learn from nothing. It knows only zeros and ones, and that's why we need some programming language which will convert our commands into zeros and ones, which will computer understand. So that's why our lessons will consist of these three parts, and in order to for concrete knowledge, I'll give on each part there will be a single a single workbook, a single worksheet, which I'll write down the most useful and the most general information for you to use later. And these workbooks, or worksheets as you can call it, they will be written in Jupyter Notebook. This is a kind of program which utilizes Python, and you can also write down some texts and images, videos, in order to give a comprehensive worksheet, and student can understand not only concepts, but they can also use them in the same Jupyter Notebook. For example, you can not only write down text there, but you can also watch videos, watch images, and write down your code and run it exactly in this notebook. So it's very useful and it's very easy to understand. Before basics of Python, there will be a small introduction into Jupyter Notebook, how it's actually to use, how to read it, and how to download programs to write and read this notebook. So there will be three worksheets, three Jupyter notebooks at every lesson. First of all, it will be math. Then you can learn something about Python, some new functions, some new lines of code you will use, and then you can go to concept worksheet, write your code, basic, which will be based on what you have read about concepts and what we will discuss mainly on this lesson. And then there will be also some practice task for you, some kind of homework, because I want you to understand everything and understand that you understand it. So that's it for introduction, and now I will show you how exactly to use Jupyter Notebook and how to download programs for it. So you can see on the screen it's a PDF presentation I've done for you in order to understand what actually we will need to do to use all lessons, all worksheets I'll make for you. So first of all, if you are Windows, if your main system is Windows, then you can download Anaconda from site you can see. So let's go to the site. So this is Anaconda. This is a distribution for Python. It's very handy because it already has some libraries we will use. So these libraries already have some functions in order for code to get more easier. And then you will go to site. How do I get Anaconda with Python 3.5? Because we will need exactly that Python, because if we will download higher Python, then our main library, which we will use for machine learning, won't work. That's why we will then go to this site, which is already written in PDF guide, and you download Anaconda 4.2.0, Windows Anaconda 3 4.2.0, Windows 86-64. If you have a 61-bit system, and if you have 32-bit, then you download just without 64. If your main system is Linux, then you can, or Mac OS, then you can download just Anaconda from the main site. This site. If you scroll down, you can see that there is Anaconda for Mac OS and Linux. And after downloading Anaconda, we can just follow instructions of it's installing. It's very easy. You just need to click to read agreement, then you need to click I agree button, next. So it's very easy. You just click next and don't change everything, every checkbox, because if you will change it, you can have some troubles with running Anaconda. Then it installs for 5-10 minutes and we are ready. But after installing Anaconda, we also need to install our main Python library, which we will use in later part of lesson when we will get to more complicated neural networks. In order to install Tensorflow, you'll need to go to Anaconda prompt. In your starter menu, I will find it on Linux or Mac, and then type this line into Anaconda prompt. You just type it and click enter. And then you will probably see this screen, which means that you've successfully installed TensorFlow. And this is very important library, which why we can test it by we just close our command line and then reopen it again, and let's type Python into it. Then we will go to you can then write Python code or use it like Python calculator but we won't use Python in command line because it's not very beautiful. And then we just type this kind of program, which like says you are trying to say hello TensorFlow with TensorFlow library, and if you are successful to install it, then there will be hello TensorFlow written on command line, and which means that you successfully downloaded it. And that's all. If you have downloaded it successfully, if you don't, then you just can write on my email with some problems. And after that, you can download Jupyter Notebook worksheets I'll prepare for you on each lesson. So you go to github.com, GitHub. Probably like that. Anyway, this link, if I haven't spelled it correctly, it will be in the links of this video, where you can just write it down in your browser and find GitHub, where all worksheets will be grouped into lessons, where you can just download them. After you have downloaded them, you will need to
go to screen. Okay.
Screen, yeah. You will need to download them exactly in your user folder, for example. And if you do so, then you can run Jupyter Notebook like that. So let me show you how to run Jupyter Notebook. So you go and open Anaconda prompt, or click or find Jupyter Notebook in your starter menu, and then you just type Jupyter Notebook like that in command prompt, and then you just press enter and you'll wait some couple of seconds. After that, the Jupyter Notebook server will be created, and now you can run, not only read these notebooks, but you can also run them. After the server is created, your default browser will be opened on the page home. Now you will see it. So this is your home page for Jupyter Notebooks. It's located in, if you haven't changed anything in your computer, it's located in C user. And now you can read it. And there are different folders, and you can create ML course, machine learning course folder just like me. And here it is, our first notebook to open. It's called Introduction. There will be only one notebook for this lesson. And now we can go open it. Introduction. Here it is, we've opened it, and now let's go to basics of Python. And first of all, we will, it will be after introduction in Jupyter Notebook. So, as you can see, this is Jupyter Notebook. You can write something, and there are two main. There is one main object. It's called cell. So if you want to create some cell, you will need to click the button and you'll create cell. In this cell you can write code. If it's gray color, you can write code. And if you need to write down some text, just like me, you will need to change code to markdown. And then you will write some text, you click it, and you get your text written in Jupyter Notebook. If you want to correct it, you can double click on it, and if you want to download this, if you want to delete, you just click on scissors. So this is our main object of Jupyter Notebook is cell. And there are two types of cells, like code one and text cell. This is text cell. You can then download this Jupyter Notebook and read it all carefully. For example, after we've created text cell, now we can create code cell and write down some code in it. And if you want to run it, then you can click on this button, run, and you can see that text there has changed. There was nothing in brackets, and now there is one, and that means that this is the first code you've run in Jupyter Notebook. And if you will click on this code again, the text in brackets will change to 2, which means that you've ran this code in Jupyter Notebook 2 times. Now let's go to Python. So and I'll explain why Python, why we use it, why it's so powerful. So first of all, it's very easy to learn. It has easy structure. You'll not need any semicolons or brackets, as for example C++ or Pascal or Java has. And also Python doesn't have types. So type of a variable is a very common thing. It's present in practically all basic, like C++, Basic, Pascal. You have all types, and in Python you don't have these types. So variable can be what you want, and that means that you will get less errors. So also Python has great tutorials. It's not only easy to learn, it's also very, very easy to learn, because it has tutorial, for example, from its developers, and it have It has also various different tutorials, for example, where you can run some code and to play with it, and you can do the same in Jupyter Notebook. And also there are a lot of libraries. And it's pretty easy to get them. For example, there is a library for scientific some calculations. There is library for machine learning, which actually there are a lot of them, and we will use TensorFlow. And there are many statistic libraries, and that's why I choose it. And now we will learn some basic syntax, which you will use later when you are doing machine learning or just coding in Python. Because this tutorial right now you can not only become specialist in machine learning, but you can also learn how to code in Python. So let's do it. So first and the most basic syntax is to print out information. If we want some information to print, and there is function print for it, and it has very basic syntax. You just call it, like for example, you want to print this variable, its value is 2, and you just write print in brackets a is equal to a. You don't need to write this, you just can write like that, and let's run and see. So a is equal indeed to 2, and we just printed a as 2. So it's very easy to use. We can print out any information, like even lists. If a list is not huge, then Python will just print out it in square brackets. And after we will learn about print, let's talk about variables. As I said, variables don't have type, but they have values in them, and these values can contain type. For example, you can use variable like that. X is equal to 4, and then you do some math operation on them. But after that, after you've done mathematical operation on a number, you can change its value to string one and print it out. So this code in many languages it won't work and it will raise type error, but in Python it will work, and in that way we can use less variables. So we indeed get that x is equal to 4, and then we change value of x to string value. So it works. But if your value has, for example, string type, and you've done some mathematical operation on it, for example, square it like that, then it can raise error. because you are doing wrong operations, and this type of values doesn't have a function of multiplying. For example, you can see can't multiply sequence by non-int or type string. And now we can talk about types of values, different types. I'll talk about the most basic one, which are used in this course. The first one is bool. It's just true or false. It's in many languages it's called bool2, and if you want to assign some variable to bool value, you just write like this. Then there comes integer. Integer is an integer, and if you want to assign it, you just do like that. So also there is float, string, which we've encountered earlier, and there are two very interesting types of values, like list and dictionary. List is a list of different values. For example, you can store some data, store some integers or floats in list, or you can store even different type values. And we will get to list in the next lesson. We will know some basic syntax more, and that's why we can use them more wisely and have more abilities with them. And there is dictionary with different keys. Dictionary is data structure too, and it's used if you want to, for example, do like this. You can connect two lists with each other, and in that case you'll use dictionary. It will not be as useful as lists. We will use lists constantly, but in some cases it's very helpful, and it saves a lot of time. You can also, there is a little note, you can also write down floats, as you can see, in scientific form. Then there are mathematical operations, which are quite basic. You have six, if I'm not mistaken, 7 symbols. This is adding, subtracting, multiplicating, dividing. It's integer division. If you want to get an integer in the end, it's some kind of div operation. Then you have a remainder of division, and you have the special operator, and it's power. If you want to, you can use it like that. You just 11 into power of 3. That means 11 multiply by 11 multiply by 11. And let's use, there are also basic mathematical operations like round. You can read in notebook as it behaves, and it's not very common function we will use. Then there are also some different operations. If you want, for example, to add to the same value some other value, for example, increment some value on 1 or on 5, on 7, whatever you want, then you can use operator plus equal. This is a special sign which uses that you'll add to the same variable value you write down on the right. For example, if you have value a is equal to 2, then you can change it. You can subtract 5 from it, gain -3, and then you can add 7 and get 4. And let's have a break on these mathematical operations, and then in the second part we will get to other syntax.